But what was weird is I've always been a big fan of Heather Dubrow, which I think Heather needs to move from the OC to the franchise of Beverly Hills Real
Couldn't
Housewives.
agree more. Could
Yeah,
not agree more. When
she's a
they
fish out of
say
water.
she's condescending, this, that, or the other, it's like, here's the thing too, and I know people have struggled with this. Just because somebody is of affluence does not mean that they're naturally looking down upon you. Now there's a very real reason that does happen quite a bit. But Heather seems to be a little bit of a delight. And if she wants to take a little bit more time and she's a little more poised and she carries herself a different way, you, the person receiving her friendship, you can't put your projections on certain things. And I agree with you. I think she has been nothing but exciting on.
I love Heather. Why isn't the boyfriend having sex with her? Okay, religious reasons, meaning to me, I think he's gay. That's a whole other story. You know what I mean? But those stories I hope unfold and it doesn't stay the sort of superficial. She's beautiful, like you said, the shock and awe. Oh my God! Like
I don't know where we go from here.
I do. I'll make a brilliant transition to OC Tamra.
Oh, okay. Real Housewives of Orange County. Okay.
Real Housewives of Orange County. This is a perfect example of someone not having a storyline, making her whole storyline of hating Shannon and outing Shannon and calling Shannon a drunk. And reality TV and human beings love a comeback. They love when someone falls and they love when they come back and they're real and relatable. I mean, hello, Ariana Madix has built a whole career on it.
Yeah.
So Beth, I mean, so Tamra, you know what I mean? She would have been better off befriending Shannon, being there for her, driving her to meetings, being that supportive friend. That could have been her storyline versus you're a drunk, I hate you, you're this, you're that, and then talking about her to everybody behind Shannon's back. But what was weird is I've always been a big fan of Heather Dubrow, which I think Heather needs to move from the OC to the franchise of Beverly Hills Real Housewives.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. When they say she's condescending, this, that, or the other, it's like, here's the thing too, and I know people have struggled with this. Just because somebody is of affluence does not mean that they're naturally looking down upon you. Now there's a very real reason that does happen quite a bit. But Heather seems to be a little bit of a delight. And if she wants to take a little bit more time and she's a little more poised and she carries herself a different way, you, the person receiving her friendship, you can't put your projections on certain things. And I agree with you. I think she has been nothing but exciting on.
I love Heather.
I mean, and also because she's an actress too, there's a little bit of that. I would not use the word pretentious, but there's a little bit of she knows how to perform. But when I would start to see Heather's confessionals, I remember watching this last season of OC, maybe even last season too, where I was like, it felt like she was even being filmed differently. Like I was like, is the camera panning or is it a different shot? It felt so different because just the way she sits in that chair, the way she knows how to deliver. This is much of stuff what you teach as well.
Right.
And I agree that if the OC gals kind of can't take her, there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's a great cast right now, but I think she'd be wonderful for Beverly Hills and she'd be able to ask the questions and wait a minute, Dorit, wait, did that happen? Like, I think that's what Heather's good at. She comes in, she has that scowl and she's like, well, Sutton, I don't remember you telling me that. Right. I could see that, Yeah.
Totally. And I really think that is, I really hope that they move her to Beverly Hills. And I think OC, did you like the new girl, Katie?
No, I mean, it's like, even if you did, the reunion was very difficult because you can give a whole season and you could be so full of it the whole season. But after the season goes, the women will catch you in your lies. And it just felt hard to like root for her for a coming season. But, and maybe you'll agree with this, casting more than me. Because of that, I feel like now I want a second season because it's as if she gave a presented season the way she wanted to be perceived.
Yeah.
And now in a reunion, they said, but wait a minute. So if you let her go, I don't know, give her another season and now make her walk in that. I don't know. I think she could go on a second time.
I agree wholeheartily. I feel like I didn't understand until the reunion. I was like, whoa. Yeah. There's her B story. There's her C story. Like the husband, the thing, the road rage thing, and putting a guy in jail. The husband having custody, not custody, living in a car. Summer, one's in San Diego, one's in Atlanta. She's got,
Well,
meaning.
I understand her not wanting to bring up the ex-husband stuff. The
Right.
thing that made it challenging is while they kept asking her questions, I as a viewer got chills. Like I got like chills of like, she's not going to be able to answer that. That's not a real, that's a very interesting watch when you see somebody that you're like, that the person is sort of living in a lie. So when they would ask her a question, I'd like shudder. I'd be like, she's not going to be able to like answer that because she just said it differently a second ago. I can't keep track of the lies. Yeah. But generally a decent season. What did you think about Shannon Bedore? She certainly had like her comeback season. People like, really not comeback season, but like, season of love. And the Alexis stuff. Was Alexis that bad? I never liked Alexis per se, so I'm not,
No, I never liked her, but I thought she was an interesting addition because of the whole Johnny J, the whole John Jansen, you know what I mean?
Right. She was a little fun, actually. Like, it's like, you could still like Shannon, because a lot of people, it's like, they love Shannon, but they like Alexis. No, Alexis was still okay, and it was a little much, but here's what I'm gonna break it down to, is also she talked about, maybe this is like you say, the B storyline or whatever. What is it when you're Alexis? You've been off the show for a long time. You find new love, whatever the intentions, who knows? She says her mother passed. That's a different stage of life. So the stage of life with her mother, the stage of life with the new love, the stage of life with, these OC former friends and cast members, I think there was some intriguing stuff with Alexis. So I don't throw her where I wouldn't want to see her back. I'd be okay with her coming back. Yeah.
And come back as a friend, meaning she doesn't like, I think she was kind of brilliant. She popped in when she needed to, and it stirred a little drama. I think if Shannon gets picked up for the next season, Shannon now has to kind of like stop the walking out. Like, she'll get up at a restaurant and walk out. Stop with those little like, fits, and stay and put your big girl panties on and say, "No, Tamra, I never said that. Here, I'm happy to show my phone to everybody." Like, because Tamra was such a bully, I would have loved to have seen Shannon stand up to that bully way more. And Emily, I usually love Emily. This season, I liked her more because I feel like she really is feeling herself in a great way, and she looks great. And I feel like Emily's always so honest, and I find that refreshing. I feel like Emily, a lot of stuff we're thinking as the audience, the viewers, I feel like Emily will have our back to be like, no, like, and I loved how Emily and Gina rallied for Shannon and rode for Shannon this season. I really liked it. And Emma and Gina, of all people, could have been really pissed at Shannon, but she was like, "Nope, I was there. I forgive her." And it really made me love Gina way more this season. I feel like Shannon, Emily, and Gina for sure should come back. I think Heather should be moved to Beverly Hills in a nanosecond. I think she would really shake shit up and give Sutton a run for her money, being the manners queen, Sutton, and this and that. I think Heather would give her a run for her money. And then, I think Jen and the whole thing with the boyfriend and, the Dodger gambling and that whole, I think there's something interesting there. And I think what Jen represents to all those Orange County women that have, been married and the husband made the money and paid the mortgage, to sort of like, okay, now you're divorced and, you have 5 kids and you've got to work, and her opening up a yoga studio, which is the equivalent, like becoming a realtor, right? Like, you do have course, you open up a yoga studio, you get in great shape, or you become a realtor. And I think Tamra did both with the cut fitness and being a realtor in the first couple of seasons. That's like the iconic job for a housewife. But and Gina's a realtor. It's funny that I say that now. I think about all the realtors, period. But I think OC was interesting. I think next season will be make or break for OC.
Do you bring back like a Gretchen or a Vicky at all? I was so interested to see Gretchen on the girls trip that won't air.
I know.
And so now that it's not airing, I wonder if that makes it harder for them to have a reason to bring her back. Because if you think about it, Phaedra did good on the girls trips, that series, as did Tamra. And by both of them doing good, that's where they got to come back to their to a show. Phaedra, of course, went to Married to Medicine. But and so I in my head I was like, I know like an Alex McCord wasn't going to go anywhere, but it would have been fun to watch. But I do think a Gretchen in my mind, let's bring her back, Well, and I didn't watch all the early seasons.
Married, especially Gretchen being married to Slade still, and them having
right.
I mean, I think Gretchen would be a really fun friend to have.
Mm.
And I think having Alexis come back, Gretchen, Shannon, and Vicky coming back as a friend too would be brilliant.
You absolutely bring Vicky back as a friend. Let her maybe not get the biggest of paychecks, but you're still on the show. She's got that new
100%.
podcast.
Yeah.
Vicky on her podcast is an interesting person. And again, I didn't watch all the early seasons per se. I'm like later to OC. I mean, I sporadically watch, but you can't have somebody who wants to be on the show that badly, who started this, who will do it at a drop of a dime, not given the opportunity. You put Vicky on that show. You put Vicky on that show.
Ronnie, what do you think of 2 T's in a pod podcast?
I think Tamra does bring something. I don't understand. I've never understood
Teddi.
Any fascination with Teddi. And I don't know if this is let's go into the therapy here. Like, do I get a little like, Teddi, you are, in theory, a nepotism baby. You've had a lot given to you. And to just kind of not be that interesting or that successful or something is just so unfun with Teddi. I just have never been able to do it. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. This is where, and I think you were mentioning this when we were talking about career and branding and your coaching, right? Marki Costello, great coach with talent management, et cetera, et cetera. You were talking about if you're an athlete, but you don't make it to the big time, what do you do with that following? How do you create your web series? How do you monetize? One thing about Teddi, even if I don't like her, what Teddi and Tamra did was they got taken off their respective shows and they became not bigger, but they became big enough to draw enough attention to come back to the shows. That is now becoming a model for other people who have done shows. What
do you think they make from that podcast, honestly?
Probably a decent amount, because I think, I don't even care, but probably a decent amount. Yeah. But I think it also goes further. I think if Tamra wasn't doing that with Teddi, I'm not sure she's getting The Traders. The Traders was the show on Peacock Streaming with Alan Cummings as the host. Yeah. I don't think she necessarily. I think it's money, yes, but I think it's attention, and that attention draws to opportunity. So again, as much as I don't like Teddi, as far as a cast member, and Tamra is at least a little interesting. They did set the blueprint in some kind of way. I mean, there's a lot of cast members who've done this, but they have set the blueprint to have enough relevancy in their entertaining podcast, show, that it kind of trickles back into the world of the series. So I will give them credit.
What do you think Bravo thinks of them doing their own BravoCon, but they did the TwatCon or whatever it was?
Well, this is, you were talking earlier about a host who felt like, it's always good to show up for yourself and advocate, but a host that was at Entertainment Tonight and was saying, I need all the money. It's all about me, when at the end of the day, Entertainment Tonight is the brand. It will always be. Right. I think a little bit like that too. I don't want to say you can't also do your own thing, because that would be not me supporting independent creators. But at the same time, I don't know. You just got to watch yourself with that. Even with the way you do content, you can't come on the show and do your podcast and say, well, they edited this and they did that. There's a lot of stuff that you maybe want to stay away from. So it's teach their own, I guess. I don't care about it that much. I don't care about those two.
And this is my manager hat. Unless Bravo's taking a piece of all of that, because they do have an ancillarily a paragraph in all of their contracts that because it's the Bethany Frankel clause, because of Bethany and her her $98 million Jim Beam deal that they didn't get a piece of, and they feel like that they were partially responsible, and they were, because she used that platform to build her skinny brand. To the public, meaning she then could promote it on that platform. The
exposure in the platform. Yes, absolutely.
So my point, and they said, hey, we get a piece of that. You know what I mean? And they didn't for Bethany, but every contract after Bethany, they put that in, that they're getting a piece. So maybe Bravo is getting a piece of all of these podcasts and laughing all the way to the bank.
You know what? You might be right. I mean, thinking about Luann's show, I mean, the way they support Luann's show. Luann's show is fun. I want to see it for sure. There's clearly a interest in supporting Luann succeeding in this odd, delusional, making the most of a bad experience, cabaret. There's an interest. So yeah, you might be right that the 2 T's in a Pod show kind of does have a little bit of that backing. You might be right about that.
What do you think about Brandy and Caroline Manzo, real quick?
Brandy, I think that
Hey, Ronnie Jr.